Summertime meals on the farm are probably my favorite because I can get a lot of what I need straight from the garden. So I'm going to take you along with me today as I cook supper. But first, I'll take you along for something we did a little bit earlier today. Hello! Walking down to the barn, we are getting ready to weigh our pigs. We are, let's see, I think 3 weeks out from the fair. And so every year about this time, we get a portable scale and we weigh the pigs to see if we're on target, to see if we need to increase or decrease their feed. Last year we actually had to decrease because we had one pig that was way too big, but this year hopefully we won't have to do anything. The hope is we'll be right on. So let's walk down and see how they're doing. These are the little pullets that you all have seen in my recent videos. They're about 3 months old now, I think, and they're doing wonderful. They all look very healthy, and in fact, we are hatching some chicks in our incubator, and I actually took one of them and put her over a couple of the chicks that we hatched, and she took right to them, and they took right to her. It was so cute. They just got right under her feathers, and she knew just what to do, even though she's still pretty young, so I wasn't sure how she would respond, but she is a natural. Okay, let's get back to the pigs. So each of our older 2 kids tagged 2 pigs, so we have 4 fair pigs total, but they'll each only get to pick 1. We need to weigh them all today to see who is in range. It looks like the kids came down here before me and they already got 3 pigs in the stall here. That way they're contained and ready to go once we get the scale in.
One more to go here.
One guy there is not cooperating. Yeah, he doesn't want to go
I'll
in.
stand over here, guys.
So that's okay. The weight range that we need the pigs to be in is, let's see, 200, between 260 and 310 pounds. And with a few weeks to go, you know, we don't want to be too close to either one of those numbers. Hopefully we're somewhere right in the middle. So we shall see. We're getting the scale set up here, getting it zeroed, and we will go ahead and bring the first pig on down. So let's see. This one, you know, we never ended up getting that 4th pig in, but that's okay because that one was my son, my oldest son's, and he didn't want to take that one to the fair anyway. He's already made up his mind. He wants to take this one that you're looking at right now. This one was a little bit stubborn. He did not want to go onto the scale. So this video was actually a lot longer. I just cut it because otherwise you would have just been watching him stand there. We had to be very patient with him. But finally, he stepped onto the scale. He or she. They have strange names, and I can never remember. So this one was 272. That was great. So that's in the range. Let's see about this next one. So we have 2 more we're going to weigh. The next 2 belong to my daughter, and depending on the weight, she will decide which one she wants to take. So this one didn't take quite as long. And yeah, all the pigs do have names. The first one that my son weighed, his name was Dickie. This one is Annie? Maybe Annie? My daughter's pigs' names are Annie and Arnold. I can never remember which one's which. So this first one got up on the scale, 229. So that's 31 pounds off. Now that's potentially doable in the next 2-3 weeks to put that weight on this pig, but challenging. So we're really hoping that the next one is closer to that low limit, the 260 mark. Okay, so yeah, this is Annie or Arnold. I can't remember. Let's see. And we've got 236, okay? That's better. we can definitely put 24 pounds on that pig before the fair. Okay, now we're inside. I'm just going to do a little bit of tidying up here before I get started on supper. I'm actually going to start by preparing for dessert tonight. I'm making strawberry shortcake. This is something I really like in the summer because I just like anything strawberry in the summer. But strawberry shortcake, it's really good, but it's also not so heavy. It's just a classic in the summertime, in my opinion. These strawberries, unfortunately, did not come from my garden. My strawberries that I have now are all June bearing. However, I did plant a lot more strawberries this year, so hopefully in years to come, I will have a lot more of my own strawberries that I can harvest all summer long. That's the hope. Hopefully they come up. I do bare root strawberry plants. They don't do much the first year, so it's just kind of like a waiting game to see if they're going to come up the following year. Hopefully they do. Also, don't mind me putting a little bit of sugar on my strawberries. Don't worry, it's just a tablespoon. Not too much, just a little bit. Now, I think what I will do next, I'll probably just put these in the fridge, and I should probably get the chicken going. So for supper, I'm going to make chicken, smashed potatoes, and green beans. And yeah, I think I should get the chicken going. You know, I never use recipes, so I'm always just kind of trying to think ahead and time things right so that everything is finished at the time that it should be, and nothing is, you know, sitting for too long and gets cold. So first, I'm just gonna grab some herbs from the garden. Once again, you just can't beat cooking in the summertime when you have all this fresh stuff out in the garden. It's just great. You can see some big watermelons back there. So just grabbing some herbs. I will need these herbs for my chicken and for my potatoes. I've got two different kinds of parsley, flat leaf and curly parsley, some thyme, some basil, and I think that's all I got. Sometimes I get some sage too. I don't think I got any sage this time. So just gonna prepare these herbs, and half of them I will mix in with some butter and seasonings for the chicken, and half I will save for the potatoes when that time comes. So in this bowl, I've just got some butter, my herbs, salt, a lot of salt. I like a lot of salt, pepper, and garlic powder. That is it. Very simple for my chicken here. Just gonna mix that all up and go ahead and prepare my chicken and get that in the oven. That way that's cooking while I work on everything else. So when I'm cooking, if I'm making meat that's going to take a long time, then I do that first. You know, I get that going and then I can work on other things while that is cooking. Now, these are not chickens that I harvested myself. These I bought from the store. They're just organic chickens, whole chickens from the store. But I have harvested my own chickens before. I've done meat birds. I've also just done where I pull an extra rooster from my flock and butcher him. And it's not that much work. You know, you can do where you do like a whole butchering day and have an assembly line, and I think that's actually really great because you do it all at one time, you get it done, and then you've got a freezer full of chicken. But you don't have to do it that way, and traditionally that's just not how it was done. People would just grab a chicken out of their yard or whatever and prepare it that day. I mean, all you have to do is just kill the chicken, and then you have to dip it in some boiling water so you can pluck it, which hand plucking isn't that bad in my opinion. It takes a little while, maybe 5-10 minutes. And then after that, then you have to, gosh, I don't know what the process is called, but where you take out all the parts that you don't want. And then there you go. That's all there is to it. Lots of YouTube tutorials on that. I used to have on my Instagram stories videos of me just going and getting a chicken out of, like, off the farm somewhere and doing that whole process, but I don't know where those videos are. Maybe I'll do that for you guys someday if you would like to see that, because like I said, it's really not that much extra time. It's maybe another 30 minutes from start to finish to, you know, I know that's the joke, like, oh, what's taking so long? Are they plucking the chicken? But it's not that much extra time, at least not in my experience. All right, these chickens are almost ready to go. We are at a point now where we are a 2-chicken family. As my family has grown, that's definitely been something that I have had to figure out, is how to adjust how much food I make. I never mind having leftovers. We are definitely a leftover family. We will eat all of the leftovers all day long. I actually cannot stand wasting food. It's a huge pet peeve of mine when people do waste food, and it's weird for me because I usually don't worry at all about what other people do, but when I think about wasting food, it just upsets me because there are hungry people. So we always use everything we have. But, you know, we're just getting to the point where our oldest son is 11 and a half. He's a big boy, growing kids, and I just have to cook more, and I'd rather have more food than not enough food. So, yeah, 2-chicken family we are now. I have these chickens in a big Dutch oven. No liquid or anything in there, just the chickens. And I'm going to cover them. And I've got my oven set to 400, so I'll just put these in at 400 for 40 minutes. And then after that 40 minutes, I will uncover them and let them cook a little bit longer. But right now I need to get my potatoes going. So I have some more of these little Yukon Gold potatoes from the garden. I'm going to boil them for maybe 15-20 minutes, just until they're, you know, really tender with a fork. Because I'm making smashed potatoes. If you don't know what those are, well, you'll see. Anyway, I went down and got some eggs. I've got 4 broody hens right now. So I'm checking all of my eggs because I only have 6 nesting boxes and I just can never remember who was sitting where. I definitely don't want to crack open an egg with a, you know, chick in there. That would be gross, and I've done that before. Okay, I only had 1 bad egg, not too bad. Gonna move on and make the whipped cream here. I use my immersion blender, works really fast, just takes a couple of minutes. This is for the strawberry shortcake, so that is all ready to go. I will put this in the fridge and move on to the next item on my list, which is the biscuits for the strawberry shortcake. This biscuit recipe is on my blog, so I'll link it below. The only thing I'm doing different making these biscuits for strawberry shortcake is I'm going to add a little more sugar. I think in the recipe on my blog I only have maybe a tablespoon, but I'll probably add a 1/4 cup of sugar this time. And I'm not going to shape them into biscuits. You'll see. I'm just going to put them in a cast iron skillet because that's what I want to do. But yeah, these biscuits are really good when you bake them in a preheated cast iron skillet. Put butter on the bottom because the bottoms of the biscuits just get really brown and buttery, and they're so good. This recipe calls for a lot of butter. By the way, does anyone else use their cheese grater to grate butter when you're making biscuits or pie crust or anything? This is so much easier than cubing it and using a fork to cut it in my humble opinion. Just gonna mix this all together, and I have the egg that I need for this recipe from when I went and collected eggs earlier. That's why I went and collected eggs, because I didn't have any and I needed an egg to make these biscuits. Got a little bit of milk. Gonna mix this all together. Now, I think I'm I'm going to add some more liquid, probably some water here, because I want this biscuit dough not to be as firm as usual, since I'm not going to be shaping them. Okay, now my skillet is heating up back inside, so I just ran out to the garden to get some green beans, get those ready. These are Chinese noodle beans. It's my first year growing them, but I really like them. They're pretty fun. Very long, as you can see. I've got some onions, fresh onions from the garden. I usually put bacon with my green beans too. I didn't have any bacon thawed out though, so it will just be onion and green beans today, and that will be okay. Because I have a way to still get a little bit of that bacon flavor in my green beans, and that is something you all probably know and love. Hopefully you love bacon grease. Anyway, that's bacon grease. Anyway, we will get to the bacon grease here in a moment. As of right now, my skillet for the biscuits is preheated, so I'm gonna go ahead and just put some butter in there. You know, you just can't use too much butter, in my opinion. We really love butter. So now, putting all of my biscuit dough in the skillet. I think this is a small one. It's not a standard. It's maybe an 8-inch. That's ready to go. So I'll just put that in the oven with my chicken at 400, and those take maybe 20-25 minutes. Now my potatoes are finished boiling, so I have another big skillet for those. I'm gonna go ahead and get those ready, and those will go in the oven as well. Hopefully this time works out where I can pull the chicken out, let that start to cool while I put these potatoes in. So smashed potatoes, all you do is smash your potatoes. I use a fork, works very well. It's very quick, very simple, but my husband really likes these. Now, did I mention we like butter? We really like butter. This is probably over the top since I put butter in the skillet before I put the potatoes in there, but you know, it's just delicious. I poured some more melted butter over there. Now just simple salt, garlic powder, pepper, and of course the fresh herbs that I saved from earlier. I exclusively use cast iron in my kitchen. Gosh, I'm trying to think if I have anything else. I mean, I have some enamel coated cast iron that I use. You know what? No, I do have a couple of stainless stock pots, but yeah, it's pretty much all cast iron and we love it. So this big Dutch oven, I mean, that's cast iron. Just so versatile. So my chicken, it worked out. The chicken was finished. I had uncovered it earlier and let it cook another 20 minutes, so the top got really brown. Went ahead and put my potatoes in, and the chicken looks great. So I'm gonna let this cool, because if you guys know, you know, when you make whole chickens and you pull them out right when it's time to serve them, you know, they're very hot and can't handle it. So I'm gonna let the chicken sit to the side there while I cook my green beans and just let those potatoes bake in the oven until the green beans are finished. So there's the jar of good old bacon grease. Gonna let my onions caramelize in that for just a minute before I add the green beans in. So these Chinese noodle beans are delicious. They've got a really good flavor, and they're stringless, which is a huge plus. If you've ever grown green beans, you know that snapping and pulling strings takes a long time. So, you know, if I can avoid that, then that's okay with me. Now I'm just going to season with some salt, garlic powder, and pepper. That's pretty much all I've used for this whole meal. I like to keep it simple sometimes. Last but not least, add in some bone broth, cover this with the lid, and just let that simmer for a while. I don't know. I'll check on it till the green beans are tender. Anyway, my biscuits are finished, so I can pull, or my, you know, shortcake for the strawberry shortcake. Pulled that out to let that cool. Gonna go ahead and set my table. This is all coming together. Everything should be done right around the same time. So we are going to go ahead and eat. This is what I would consider a lighter supper because there aren't any simple carbs. And in the summer, I kind of like to, you know, not load up on carbs at supper time and at dessert, maybe one or the other. So that's what we have going on tonight. And I have to say, the strawberry shortcake turned out fabulous. It was so delicious. This biscuit recipe, they're just so buttery, and you really can't beat fresh whipped cream. So this is definitely a summertime staple. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week.